it was big news when you received your 9-figure investment. How did your life change when that happened, and also how did people change towards you when that happened?
Oh, that's a good question. So I would say my life has remained the same because, money doesn't make who I am. It doesn't define me. Obviously, it makes things better, gives you better opportunity, but it does not define who I am, my personality, what I stand for, what I represent. So in that aspect, it hasn't changed. Because for me, I'm all about purpose. And things have to align with my purpose and fulfilling my God-given destiny. That's what's important to me. And I feel that when people pursue your purpose and your passion and you do what God has called you to do, the money's going to come anyway. It's going to be attracted to you from all walks of whatever, like it's going to come. So I try to just stay focused on like what's for me and being in alignment with God's will. And I know that when I'm in alignment, things are going to be attracted to me and they're going to come to me with ease.
Hey Bombers and Bombshells, it's Claire Solmers, CEO of Fashion Bomb Daily, and we are in Maryville, Indiana to interview the CEO and founder of Mielle Organics, Monique Rodriguez, as she leads meetings, directs her team, and lives the bomb life. We'll be chatting about her secret sauce to success, faith, and fashion. I can't wait. Let's go.
Of course, people, they come out of the woodwork. You have people that DM you like, we're cousins. And, I think that's a given. You have people that, DM and ask me for some of the craziest things. They ask me for money via DM. Like, I literally don't know people from a can of paint. And they will just say, hey, can you, can you loan me? Can you give me $5,000 to do X, Y, and Z. Like, I've had some astronomical requests to the point where someone literally asked me to give them $200,000 just to give it to them.
Just give it to them.
Yeah. And I was like, do people do that?
Yeah, they're bold.
So yeah, you just, I think that comes with the territory. But I just try to stay grounded and focused and, politely tell people like that's not a normal request that, you would ask someone, or I just don't respond.
Yeah. Okay. Well, tell me about, because I remember during your keynote, you spoke about a time pre-investment. And I think you said you were $2 million in debt. So tell me about that and kind of what it taught you, like what you learned through that whole situation.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to, when I say the best business advice that I received was to really understand your finances, understand like what comes in and what goes out, and make sure that you're not spending out more than what comes in. And when we were $2 million in the hole, what that taught me was how to really manage and understand that I shouldn't be spending more without really watching, my books and knowing my books and understanding my books. And so it really just taught me to educate myself more on the financial side. I didn't go to school for finance. We were not taught financial literacy in high school. And so especially in the Black community, things are not shown to us that's shown to our counterparts. So, managing that, I really didn't have a clue and didn't have any idea. I had to learn that and surround myself with people that can educate me in that aspect. So it just taught me to, even though I didn't go to school for that, like I have to have somewhat of an understanding of it. So, you also want to make sure that nobody's trying to get over on you.
Right.
From an accountant side, nobody's stealing money from you. So it just taught me to just pay more attention to understanding P&L, understanding balance sheets, knowing what's in the bank, and just monitoring what's coming in and what's going out. So it just helped me be more financially responsible.
Okay. And for the person who's out there trying to pitch and trying to find an investor, I mean, you're like a unicorn, because I read some statistic like less than 2% of VC funding goes to Black female entrepreneurs. And
Sad.
I mean, what do you think about that, and what advice would you give to, because there's so many Black female entrepreneurs, so what would you tell them for those who are going out there in the world?
Yeah, so number one, what I think about the statistic is that it's very sad. And with me being, I guess, a unicorn, what it does is it paves the way for other Black women entrepreneurs, so these private equity funds and these VCs can remember there is a brand that was Mielle, that was a Black founded brand, and look at what they were able to accomplish, and look where they're at today. Like, I want to change their thinking, to know that, you know, there's value in what we build, and all we need is a chance. We need an opportunity. We need resources. And when you provide an education, and when you provide us with those tools, we can take something, because we know how to make something out of nothing.
We do.
I was able to build Mielle, you know, the first 6-7 years before the investment, with just grit and grind, and not knowing anything about business, and just going off of my gut feeling. So if I was able to do that with no help from investors, just imagine what I can do if I have the help and the resources. And that's what I want, you know, these investors to understand when they think about the next Black woman that sits at the table, when they think about, should we invest in this person or not? Like, know that there's a Mielle, there's a Monique Rodriguez that has proven and paved the way that if you give an opportunity, resources, and funding and expertise, look at the magnitude of what we can accomplish. And so I think that, you know, we wanted to announce it because it was so historic, because we do want to change the narrative to pay it forward to the next Black woman, and for her to know that she deserves a seat at the table. Because sometimes I think we also suffer from imposter syndrome, like, do we deserve to receive a 9-figure investment, or do we deserve it? Absolutely. What you built, the hard work, the blood, sweat, and tears that you put into your business, you deserve that idea that you have. That is $1 billion idea. You just got to put the hard work and effort into it.
Where do you do daily affirmations? Like, where does this confidence come from?
So a lot of my confidence comes from God, first and foremost, my faith, and knowing that He promised. He promised this for us. He promised us in His word a life of prosperity, abundance. That He says that He will bless us exceedingly abundantly beyond what we could ever think, ask, or imagine. And I stand on His word, and I hold God accountable to His word. And I, you know, the times that I doubt myself, I will go in my closet, because that's where I like to pray and meditate. And I'll say, God, you said that you will bless me exceedingly abundantly. And sometimes it's just meditation and just reciting scripture over and over again, and it happens. It manifests. And, you know, Mielle has been exceedingly abundantly beyond what I ever imagined. And that's where my confidence comes from. It's my faith in His word and believing in His word. And then also, you know, surrounding myself with people that are encouraging. You want to be around people that's going to help lift you up, because you have people that you tell them your dream, and they're like, oh, are you for real? Like, you're not going to do that. That's not $1 billion. Like, you're never going to see $1 billion. Like, you have people that like that, but you also need to be intentional about who you tell your vision and your ideas to, and making sure that when you tell your vision and your ideas, that you're comfortable enough that that person is going to be an encouraging person to you, and not someone that's going to tear you down. And my husband is like my biggest cheerleader. He is always encouraging me, even at the times that I'm doubtful. Like, he pushes me beyond, you know, my comfort zone. And I appreciate that, because it's also helped me grow into the woman that I am today. So having that good support system, whether it's your husband, your friend, your mom, dad, you need that extra push as well too.
Yeah. Tell me about a PR nightmare and how you recovered from that.
A PR nightmare and how I recovered. So we had a situation where there was a influencer that went on social media, and she used our product incorrectly. So I am very passionate about what I do, and I felt the need to correct her and tell her how to properly use the product. I mean, if you're going to give a review, at least review the product using it properly, right?
Right.
And so when I went on her page to correct her, like she just took my comment and just tore it apart. And she even tried to drag my husband in it and made up all these lies. And, and it was pretty big,
right?
But the one thing that I stood on was that I never said anything. I was very quiet about it because I said that my work is going to speak for itself. My character will always speak for itself. And whoever tries to throw dirt on your name, your character and who you are and what you represent will always outweigh the dirt that they're trying to throw on your name.
Yeah.
And I also recited another scripture that God said that he will make my enemies my footstool. Not saying that, she's a enemy that I want to fight, but the people that are against you, the people that, want to talk about you and want to try to bring you down, because you have people that are sitting on the sidelines waiting for that moment to see you fail. And if you are sitting on the sidelines, you're going to suffocate because that's going to make me work even harder. So what that did was it motivated me even more to keep pushing, to keep striving, because God said, I will make your enemies your footstool and I will prepare a table in the presence of your enemies. And he has done just that. So, and he will do that if you have the faith to not try to stand up for yourself.
Right.
So I knew that, it stung. I wanted to, the flesh, you want to clap back and you want to go out there and you want to defend yourself. But I knew that if I stayed quiet and let God fight my battles, that ultimately I would have the victory. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
She was silenced and my brand became louder.
What women do you look up to?
Women that I look up to, obviously Oprah.
Me too.
Yeah. I think that she's amazing. Beyonce, amazing businesswoman. Ivy McGregor now that she's spoken
so
she's like my mentor in my head. So before, and I'm not just saying that because you're here interviewing me, but even before we met, I admired you. I love what you built. I will follow you and admire you from afar. This is even before we met. So definitely you. Ariane Simone, I think she's awesome. She's amazing. I think Nicole Lionel is also amazing. Ronnie Brown, she's also amazing. Melissa Butler.
Yes.
Rachel with Urban Skin RX.
Rachel Roth.
Yep.
Madam C.J. Walker.
Oh yes, definitely Madam C.J. Walker. She is she's an original queen.
Yeah.
And she's definitely the one that paved the way for me to do what I'm doing today. Annie Malone, same. Still in the hair care space and still changing the trajectory for women that look like me. Michelle Obama.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I have a ton of women that I admire.
What does Fashion Bomb Daily mean to you?
Fashion Bomb Daily means, for me, is inspiration and motivation. And it also reminds me of just my femininity, just being a strong woman that deserves to have the luxurious things in life, and to not feel shame for it. So when I go to your page, Fashion Bomb Daily, I'm inspired, I'm motivated, and it reminds me, it just puts me in the mindset of having royalty black girl luxury, that feeling. I don't know if I'm describing it right, but it just really puts me in the mind that I deserve this, and I'm proud to be a black woman representing the culture and being able to enjoy the finer things in life.
We are kings and queens.
Yes.
And it's time.
And your page reminds us that all the time.
Okay, anything you want people to know? Any last words as we sign off today?
I would just encourage people to, whatever it is that you desire, and especially for black women, like I said earlier, that dream, that passion that you have, that is $1 billion idea. And to not let anyone tell you that you can't accomplish it because of the color of your skin, because you're a woman. Use me as an example of breaking barriers and shattering glass ceilings, that as long as you are determined, as long as you have good work ethic, as long as you are intentional about surrounding yourselves with the right people, as long as you ask questions, and always just remain humble and know that no question is ever a dumb question, because you never know, that question may lead to another question that you didn't even think of, that you needed the answer to, but you didn't know. You wouldn't know if you don't ask. And so the reason why I'm at the place where I'm at today is because I got out of my own way. I network with people, and I think you were a part of one of my initial networking opportunities when we did our first investment when we were in the Hamptons.
I remember that.
Yeah, that was the initial start of an investment conversation, and we needed that investment at the time.
Yeah.
And so, just not being afraid to go for it, because if you're truly passionate about something, like, you can accomplish it, you can do it, and it can be very lucrative and super successful if you really go after it. And the stigma of, in the Black community, that you have to be a rapper, an athlete, or in entertainment to be successful and to be wealthy, that's out the door. You can create a billion-dollar business with just one idea, something that you're truly passionate about, and you will be surprised at how you will surpass some of the people that you admire and see on TV. You will surpass their amount of wealth. So it's more to us than just being athletes and entertainers.
Yeah, or bomb businesswomen.
Yep.
Yes. Do you put an emphasis on hiring Black women?
I definitely put an emphasis on hiring Black women. I feel that, I actually pride myself in being able to employ Black women and give them positions of executive leadership that if they go to corporate America, they wouldn't necessarily have those same opportunities and positions. And also giving them the opportunity to be trained and developed by another Black woman so they can grow and they can be under my leadership and my mentorship so they can also do something great. So I'm also big on hiring by character and not necessarily skill set and experience, because we have to give ourselves an opportunity somewhere. And I feel that, if I'm able to employ you and give you an experience and opportunity, that I'm proud to say that I'll be a part of your journey when you make it to be successful, and then I expect for you to do the same thing, to reach back and to pull someone else up as you climb your journey to success. So it's absolutely fulfilling for me to see other Black women in my organization that are killing it and are doing things that they normally wouldn't be doing if it was in a typical corporate environment.
Yeah. I love how you're changing the narrative of Black women. We always are told about crabs in a barrel. We've heard that for so long. And now it's like, no, we're reaching that hand down to bring somebody else up.
Oh, yeah, we have to, because that's the only way that we're going to get ahead as a community. If we reach back and pull others up, like the crabs in a barrel mentality, it comes, we know that it's embedded, it comes from slavery, right? When is that going to end? The whole PR situation that I just talked about was also a result of the crabs in a barrel mentality. Like, even if you don't like something, if I don't like something that you did, I'm gonna have a conversation with you.
Yeah, I'll pull you to the side.
I'm not gonna try to go on social media and tear you down. Like, we have to give each other grace, just like God gives us grace. No one on this earth is perfect, and if you know that you're not perfect, why won't you extend grace to someone else? Yeah. If you have an issue with something that I did, pull me to the side and have a conversation and extend grace. Like, the crabs in a barrel mentality is like, oh, well, I didn't like what she did, so now I'm going to go on social media and blast her. That's not how we get ahead as people. We're going to continue to stay behind if we don't help each other and say, you know what, I don't like what you did, but I'm going to help you so this can be a teachable moment so you can be better. Yeah. We have to be more proactive in doing that. And I know it comes with maturity, it comes with learning, but be intentional about extending grace for your next sister, because none of us are perfect.
Right.
And so you just got to make an effort to just do something different so we can progress and get ahead as Black people.
Yeah. And I also think that's a prosperity mindset.
Yeah.
Like, something my business partner pointed out was like on page, I look at these pages for like Hermes and stuff, just because, window shopping. All the comments are positive. They're like, this is great. This is beautiful. But then a lot of times on our media, it's so much negativity. And I'm like, we got to switch that.
Yeah.
Because the positivity mindset is the prosperity mindset. Yep. They go hand in hand.
Yeah. And to your point, like, When you have that mindset and you congratulate your sister, when you're happy for other people's blessings, that's how you get blessed.
Yeah.
When you are trying to come against and tear someone else down, all you're doing is blocking the prosperity and the blessings that he has for you. And it's like, when we gonna get it? When we gonna understand that? So we have to do better. So how do I feel about the poverty mindset and still seeking the face of God and going after wealth and prosperity? Number one is because it's in his word, it's written that he will add riches and wealth to our life and will add no sorrow to it. And I'm paraphrasing, that's probably not verbatim the scripture, but that's the basis of the scripture. So he's telling us that he will give you wealth and riches and add no sorrow to it. The poverty mindset, I feel like for so long has been preached in the black churches, in the black community, you know, when we were growing up as kids, because we felt that, or we glorified suffering. It doesn't say anything about, in order to, if you're poor, that, you know, you're closer to God. So even when you see black pastors and they have, you know, nice cars and, you know, nice homes, if they work for it, if they're doing the work of God and God has blessed them with it, God will bless you with it as well. He's no respecter of persons. Like, he has no favorites. And if he blessed one, to me, that's showing me that, oh, God will bless me with that as well. So sometimes we got to shift our mindset and know that when you are exposed to certain situations, so even with me growing up, you know, if I saw someone that had a bigger house, nice car, they were living a good life, I'm like, okay, God, you gave me the opportunity to see it. So if you gave me the opportunity to see it, you're letting me see it so I can know that I can achieve it, so I can think differently. You know, when I went to Rich's house and I saw it and I was like, wow, you blessed him with this, you can do the same for me. And not look at that person and say, oh, well, why they driving this type of car? Why my pastor got this? Or why my pastor got that? No, God blessed them with that. And he blessed them with the ability to receive it. And I'm not, you know, it's not just material things, but it's just a lifestyle thing. It's abundance. If he gave it to you, he will do it for you. He will do it for you. He will do it for me. And that's how I look at it. And so, you know, we have to get away from that poverty mindset because it was glorified for us as black people. And I do feel like that was by design for us to think that way.
There's definitely a shift. Talk about the evolution of your faith. Like, for me, I became more faithful when I lost everything. And it was literally like, you know, the Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away. And I got, this is just me personally, I got so big-headed thinking that I was the source of my success and not God, right? So I had to be knocked down to absolute zero to get closer to him. That's my faith journey, and now, you know, very faithful. How about you?
My faith journey started in 2013 with the loss of my son. So I didn't grow up in church, but it was a call on my life to want to be involved in church, but I guess I really didn't know how. I didn't know how to, like, talk to God, or, you know, really didn't understand how to have a strong prayer life. But it was something that was always pulling me in that direction. And I think it was when I was in 5th grade, my mom sent me to a Catholic school, and, you know, you had to cross your heart, and they taught us how to pray. So I think that was like an introduction of, you know, developing a relationship with God. But even still, throughout my teenage years, my adulthood, I would kind of be like 1 foot in church and then 1 foot out, not really going, not being consistent. And so during that time, I was also trying to figure out who I was and trying to figure out life, but I was trying to figure it out on my own and not leaning on my higher source, which is God, and allowing him to be front and center of my life and praying to him and being very vocal about the things that I wanted in life. And when I lost my son in 2013 due to pregnancy complications, it was like everything was just like, well, like, why did this happen to me? Because I felt that I was doing everything right. I went to college because my mom told me to go to college. I graduated, became a nurse because my mom told me to. You know, I got married, had kids, bought a house. Everything was by the book. got pregnant for the third time and did everything. I was like a very conscious, I was a labor and delivery nurse, so I was conscious about everything. And when that happened to me, I was like, I did everything right. Like, why is this happening to me? And, you know, I felt God was trying to pull me into a relationship with him, because he is not a loud God. Like, he's a very soft, inviting God, and he's going to just stand at the door and knock and wait for you to open up and say, I'm ready to receive you. And so when you're at a dark place like that, had nowhere to turn, my husband could not get me out of that dark place, my mom, nobody could. It wasn't until I said, God, help me. And sometimes you don't even know what to say, but your tears will speak for you. And so I knew that I had to do something a little different and give God a try. And my husband and I, we were going to church. We started going to church more because we were praying, you know, because my son, you know, he was, even though he was, when he was born, he had no brain activity. We still kept him in the hospital, and we were praying like for a miracle. But we had to understand that we had to let him go and be with God and turn our life over to God. So we got saved. And immediately when we got saved, things just shifted.
Right.
Like, it shifted it was a shift like none other. Like, talk about shift in the atmosphere. Like, things just started to happen. Like, I started to have a peace that wasn't like a normal peace. I started this company, and people would look at me like I was crazy. Like, how are you doing this a couple of months later after, you know, you went through something so tragic? But it was God directing me and just giving me a peace that I didn't even understand.
Right.
And I started the company, and it just took off. And it was a signal that, you know, God had a bigger purpose for me. And granted, would I trade everything to have my son? Absolutely. But what I do in my business is also marketplace ministry. And I'm very vocal about my faith and God.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I'm bringing people to God's kingdom through the company. And that's what I'm supposed to do.
I love that. Does it get easier? Because I recently lost my father 2 months ago. And every time I talk about it, I start to cry.
Yeah.
But you're so open about it. So does it help to share that story with people?
Yeah, sorry, and I'm sorry about your dad.
Thank you.
But for me, when I first started talking about my son, same thing. You know, I couldn't talk about it without crying, but the more and more I talked about it, the more I felt God gave me strength. And the more and more I talked about it, he also gave me peace, because you overcome by your testimony. And your testimony helps someone else overcome whatever they may be going through. And so when I started sharing my story, and women would come up to me and say that they experienced the same thing or a similar situation, and them seeing me would give them strength, that's how I knew I had to keep sharing it and to keep helping other women that, you know, because black women, we don't talk about pregnancy loss. We don't talk about, you know, miscarriages or infant loss. That's something that we suffer in silence, and we suffer alone.
Right.
And I didn't want to suffer alone. I wanted to share, and I wanted people to see that you can get through it. You can have faith. Do I think about my son all the time? Absolutely. But I still have a peace, and that peace comes from none other than God. So I wouldn't say it gets easier. You just learn how to navigate and deal with it the more and more you share your testimony to help other people.